the Off-Grid Pet Family Podcast.
Good evening.
It's the Off-Grid Prep Family Podcast.
It is.
Episode 39.
Mm-hmm.
Today we have 3 topics. Number 1, Apocalyptic Shopping Spree, which I was so excited. This was my episode idea on Canadian Prepper Podcast, and they did it. And I felt like I was finally famous in life, and I had achieved everything that I wanted. So we're going to talk about our Apocalyptic Shopping Spree.
We did. We had a little mini one.
We did have a little mini one. Number 2, why do we have 2 gates on our 30 things to prep list? It's maybe a little crazy, but it's the way I roll. Number 3, where is the best place to put your solar panels? Those are our topics for the day. Would you like to start out with just an intro on the basis of what is an apocalypse shopping list?
Well, yeah, we had one by accident. It was 2 months ago.
I don't remember. Maybe
3?
6 weeks.
Maybe.
Yeah.
It wasn't. It was.
Canada had an internet outage
No,
that, depending
it was,
on where you lived, also took out ATMs, debit. Where we were, it was also credit cards. It was cash only.
Yeah.
Your internet probably didn't work. Your cell phone probably didn't work. We're on an island, so more things are dependent on internet that maybe other people had hardwired. But it was a little bit crazy.
It was.
It was only a day.
It was immediately, and the feel, the vibe.
Yeah, so we're on the very, very East Coast, so nobody at that point knew what was happening because the rest of the country was still asleep. And so we woke up, went to the grocery store.
We'd planned the trip. Like, we only
go to the grocery store twice a year. And of
something
course,
specialty.
This is the time when we had to go. Was this one day?
I don't even think we had a flash food arranged.
No.
It was...
we needed children's ibuprofen.
It was something weird.
And so we end up in the store, and it's 3 hours into this nationwide debit, credit, cell phone, internet outage.
The weirdest part was that, so we rolled up on the auto parts store to get some oil for our generator. Nothing serious. And they had ad hoc taped up a piece of paper that they had printed off to say that their debit machines were down. Yeah. Cash only. And it was obvious. It was like, oh, they just put this up now.
Yeah, that happens.
And then, I don't know, we went to a couple other places eventually.
We were going to grab some cash and then go back.
Yeah. We roll into the grocery store, and they had frickin' signs.
Printed posters.
Printed posters.
That said, specifically, internet, debit, and credit is down nationwide. Cash only, please.
How would they know it was nationwide? The rest of the nation hadn't woken up yet.
How did they have those signs? Did they really have that many posters in the back of the small town grocery store? So thanks, blah blahs. If we ever questioned our attempt to break up with the grocery store, that was solidified at that point.
It was crystallized. It really was. That was the day we were like, nope, we're done.
Yeah,
we will find a way.
Not coming back here.
I bought holistic children's cough medicine.
Yeah, we needed a children's fever medicine, but all the Tylenol and Advil and everything. For the rest of the country, they're just now realizing that Advil and children's fever medicine is out.
It's been weeks here.
But it's been
months.
6 to 8 weeks since we've seen any here. So if you ever want to know what's going to be out next, just ask us.
Yeah.
We have to take a quick break to thank our first sponsor, which today is new, Jace Medical Supplies. They now can prescribe all sorts of antibiotics and everything you might need in every state and every province in Canada. So if you need antibiotics for your emergency kit or for travel or whatever, you go to Jace Medical. You can use the link that's on our friends and affiliate page, and you get $15 off. And they even send you a paper receipt so that if you have some sort of insurance coverage, that you can get reimbursed. So it's sort of expensive to get a whole bunch of prescriptions for antibiotics of all different kinds all at once, but if you've got coverage, that's even better. Frankly, if you or your child needs antibiotics and you can't get them, I would pay anything. And
Yeah.
it's a bit of a steal of a deal. It includes amoxicillin, azithromycin, Cipro, doxycycline, and metronidazole.
You've had amoxicillin and Cipro for
Ooh, I have for various odd things.
yeah.
But it also includes a book to tell you exactly when to use which thing.
Oh, nice.
And so if you're in sort of an abnormal condition, it'll tell you when to use one or both of those things for all sorts of things. Rocky Mountain spotted fever, salmonella, Lyme disease, malaria, cholera. Chlamydia, if you find yourself in that situation.
What's amoebasis? That was a weird one.
Who's to say? It comes with the guide. It comes with all the things. You have to do like a little online questionnaire, and they get mailed to you from a local pharmacy, and the case comes from Jace. And it can last up to 20 years if you keep it in a cool, dry environment. So you just had to buy it the once, and then you've got it for, frankly, at that point, it's my kid's problem if these things go bad. So thank you, Jace Medical. Go to the offgridprepfamily.com and click on our friends and affiliate page, and $15 off. It's a pretty good deal.
That's awesome.
So our apocalyptic shopping spree started at the point where people started getting really like belligerent and loud in the checkout line at the grocery store.
And it was the morning. This wasn't
not like
the hustle-bustle evening crowd in a large city. This was the morning.
This tells you how little food and supplies people have in their homes.
Yes. It was the morning.
They had been, 12 hours without a grocery store?
Tops. 9 a.m. You don't come
Maybe
to the
it was
grocery store
payday, but still.
Doesn't matter. It was the morning. It was a sunny day. It was a lovely day, actually.
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't too hot.
No.
You didn't need air conditioning.
There was no reason to be all agitated.
And it was just, you could sense people's
anxiety.
Their anxiety. Yeah. Like they were going to cut you.
This is an acute country grocery store, small town Canada. Lots of tourists maybe, but like not a lot going on here.
Maybe a 3,000 person town tops.
Yeah. And people were getting pretty obnoxious. Yeah. And by about 8:30, we said, we're out of here.
Yeah, we got to get out. We didn't even finish our grocery trip. We got the must-haves.
The bare minimum. But we did have that moment of, you've got cash in your pocket.
We did.
And there's no way to know what this is.
Mm-hmm.
There was no news on it yet because we're on the very, very East Coast.
Yep.
The rest of the country hadn't woken up, let alone clued into what was happening.
We're east of everyone. And we had that moment where we looked at each other and we said, hey, I feel like
what should we get?
Something's going down. What should we get? First thing that came to our mind was meat.
And we have
canned meat.
We have meat sources. We have protein sources.
Yep.
We have local sources for meat if we didn't have enough. Mm-hmm. But still, meat, shelf stable if you're not off grid. We don't think about that anymore because I don't worry about my freezers going out. But you should always have most of these bases already covered, but still, you can never have enough meat.
Yeah.
And beyond that, my second choice was livestock feed and fats. Because it's hard economically to store enough fats as long as you're not you're trying not to eat like really disgusting, bad for you seed oil, bleached fats.
We've totally stopped. We have
completely cut off of the seed oils. We still store them just in case.
Well,
because it's economically unfeasible to store that much canola oil and beef tallow.
Yeah, unless you unless you can it.
Yeah. But
we have a thing of vegetable oil that we bought.
It's just going to sit there in case we need it, or we can trade it.
Yeah.
16 liters, like the big commercial one. It'll just sit. It's not going to go bad. It's already bleached. You can store the sort of cheaper fats and have those in your food storage. But as far as storing like the really expensive things that we kind of use on a day-to-day basis, it's really financially tricky to store a year's worth or more.
Yeah, it is.
And so if that was our last trip to the grocery store, I would have said meat and fats.
Immediately.
Yeah. And what we did is we just went to the butcher.
We did.
And we just got meat there.
Later that day,
That morning, we went and we just got a little top of meat.
Yeah.
The next thing that I would grab on my apocalyptic shopping spree, my thing would be like medicine. Like, Tylenol, infant Tylenol, ibuprofen, allergy meds, Tums, stuff that you can't. It's really hard to like come by that as like an herbalist thing. It's probably possible, but I'm not there.
Yeah, we have some herbal medications that we use.
But as far as like going to my garden,
yeah,
I'm not at that point where I could confidently just go to my garden, smash something up, give it to my aching tooth toddler, and be confident that they weren't, I don't know, going to be in pain or have a headache.
Yeah, yeah, we're definitely not there. I mean, we started from scratch, so we're not. We don't have any pre-generational advice.
We have like maybe a dozen things outside that grow wild that we know what they are, but I'm still not sure about compounding them in like a reliable potency.
Yeah.
So, meds. Also, Jace case full of antibiotics. If you're at that point, it's probably too late to order one. So, get that while you can, just like all these other things.
Get ahead of it.
But the next thing on my list would probably be a fuel top up.
Yeah.
We try and keep, propane and gas. How much propane and gas do we typically store?
Well, we have a dozen jerry cans of gas, and we have 8 like little barbecue tanks.
Yeah.
On average, we go through 2 jerry cans a month.
Yeah, just on random.
On average, sometime like we'll go all summer without using a single one. And
little
then we use
toys, generator, rototiller, whatever.
Yeah, and we do 2 tanks of propane a month.
That's our hot water.
That's everything.
Our stove,
hot
barbecue.
Water, we actually use very little. We're probably down to 1 a month in the winter because we cook with the wood stove. And it's just for the hot water for really primarily showers and the dishwasher.
Yeah, so those are both things that you could do without because our wood stove does heat water.
It's not enough for us. Like, we don't have the necessity to get a commercial delivery.
Yeah.
From a usage standpoint. However, if I could pick my ideal situation, I would have a propane generator and a very large propane. They call it, I don't know if they still call them a bullet.
Yeah.
One of those big 700-liter tanks.
You just get filled up like once or twice a year.
Once a year, maybe.
Yeah.
But even using the small barbecue tanks, like, it's not a pain in the butt.
No.
We're going to town for groceries every couple of months anyway.
Yeah.
And we fill up with propane. I think I have 4 empty tanks right now.
We try to not get them filled up in the summer if we can help it, because the summer they adulterate them with things that don't freeze well.
Only at the exchange places. We go to a local hardware who uses, they fill the tanks from their own
like in
tank.
front of you. Yeah.
If you go to the exchange places, like if you just exchange a place at one of those locked kiosks in front of a
gas
grocery
station
store,
or
they fill them with all kinds of bad stuff that will freeze solid in the winter and make them unusable. And it's to save money. I try to save money all the time. I get it. But that's one of the things we've learned. So, but the reason I would pick a propane setup exclusively, number one, propane didn't spike with the recent inflation costs. So that means they aren't aware of it. Number two, propane stores more or less indefinitely. Like, it's a sealed container.
Yeah, you don't have to have like gas additive or anything. Yeah.
Well, gas, you can't seal it. It expands wildly during the heat. And I know propane does too, but not nearly as much as gas. So I would pick, now on the downside, a propane generator is, from my own experience, 30% less efficient than a gas generator.
But it's cheaper.
But it is cheaper and it stores better. Yeah. So you're going to compromise some
and
efficiency.
If you had a propane generator, it's probably also a natural gas generator. Yeah. And then if it came down to it, you could probably use biogas.
You could, yeah. It would you would be closer to being able to use wood gas or biofuel. like homemade biofuel, as opposed to a gasoline generator, which is it's a higher power thing, but it is very finicky.
Okay. So a fuel top up.
Fuel top up. Pick your fuel, pick your medium, pick what you want to use, and yeah, definitely.
This is all assuming that like your house is basically stocked.
Yeah.
If your house is basically stocked, or if it isn't, $500 isn't going far enough.
No.
And we talked about that. Like if you just don't have a stocked up house and you're just starting on this, we talked about maybe just getting a couple really good steaks and
some whiskey.
a whole lot of alcohol.
If it's the apocalypse and you aren't stocked for several months,
you're not gonna outlive.
You know what? Just enjoy your last night.
Have a really nice T-bone steak.
The good Lord is not going to judge you for
everybody
enjoying your
dies
last night.
eventually.
Yeah.
Nobody gets out alive.
Yeah.
If you don't have that food storage at that point, just get something to enjoy yourself with.
Have some fun with the kids.
My last option for the apocalyptic...
wait, before your last option, to try and add a positive note to that last thing is the blown up Kia concept. If your last night is just hopeless, enjoy it. You never know. Something really cool that you don't even know about yet might just come your way.
I have thunder rumbling in my ear, so let's take 1 minute to talk about 1 year of food. Feed Your Large Family or Meg for 1 full year. It's available on Kindle, Amazon paperback, or download in our store at offgridprepfamily.com. The paperback version is $15.99. You can get it for $8 and download and print it yourself, but frankly, for the cost of paper, it's probably cheaper.
Yeah.
Just to get the Amazon one. Basically, most people have no clue how many meals they can cook with their food storage and have never calculated how much they can serve at each meal to stretch their food storage for a full 12 years. But we have a gift for you. Our large family has lived off the grid for over 16 years. We've lived in different homes, an RV, and a boat. And we've lived on islands that are isolated where getting supplies was simply not an option for half of the year. We have had to do the math and figure out how to keep our family fed until that spring garden starts producing. If you're living on a sailboat, running out of food is simply not an option. If people are counting on you to feed them, running out of food is simply not an option. Maybe you're feeling the weight of that on your shoulders, and I am here to help you achieve confidence in your food storage. So 1 year of food is a solid, precise plan for storing a year's worth of breakfasts, lunches, dinners, and snacks for a large family or a mag. The recipes will serve about 8 adult males or a family of 10 to 16, depending on the ages of your children. It includes yearly and monthly meal plans, tips for processing and storing all that food, and precise amounts that you can use with confidence at every meal, knowing that you are not going to run out of food before the year is up.
You've also included a detailed garden plan and livestock list if you want to grow the majority of your family's food.
Yeah, that's helpful.
It's all very achievable, and this is a plan to help you get there.
1 year of food. Check it out on Amazon or find it on our website, offgridprepfamily.com, in the store.
In the store section, yep.
Okay, so at the very end of my apocalyptic shopping spree, I have noted maybe just keep the cash. Because if you have done what you need to be doing over months and years, you probably don't need anything in that store. Staying in that store any longer than possible is probably putting you and your family at risk. Things get ramped up quickly. And just having some small bills and cash on hand might be the most useful thing for you in the future.
Yeah, the financial system is not going to, like the...
Debit.
I'm going to call
credit.
it, no, the financial ideology.
Sure.
Is not going to collapse quite as fast. If you have money
people
in your
will
hand,
still give you something for $5 or $10.
We all need something to compare price to.
Because bartering and trading, it's very unlikely that things will be even. Like, I have zucchinis and my friend has beef, that's not going to be an even trade. There needs to be some sort of in between, agreed upon paper means of trade. So maybe just keep the cash. If there isn't, like, we were at the store and we're like, I don't know, meat, maybe? Like, we didn't really need anything, which is a very nice place to be at.
We didn't end up buying anything at the store beyond the
beefs that we bought later on.
We bought the beef later on.
Yeah.
We didn't buy anything at the actual store, and we immediately realized the value of the cash.
The reason this all comes into play is mostly our experience with that large flood. The number of people we saw who had been evacuated and they grabbed snowboards or other useless things, but they didn't have their wallet, their purse, ID, cash. They didn't know where their kids were. They had no clue, but they grabbed one random winter coat that they paid too much for and were emotionally attached to. Or like our neighbor across the street who you were trying to help, who ended up being saved by you. If you want to go back to our emergency backpacks episode, she was trying to save her husband's NHL memorabilia from the basement, but she didn't know where her kids were.
No.
If you don't have at least a rough plan of, if I'm in Canadian Tire, I'll grab some batteries. If I'm at the grocery store, I'll grab some tuna. If you haven't thought about this, you're going to make bad, stupid, embarrassing decisions.
Typically, yeah.
You have to at least have thought of it. Look for the exits. Figure out what you would do. The next time you go to a store, be like, where are my exits? You're never more than, 50 feet away from one? Just figure out what they are.
Yeah.
Nobody wants to be figuring that out when they're also trying to figure out what on earth is going on with their cell phone and their debit card.
No, you got to know. You have to have a plan.
Thinking about these things ahead of time.
Yeah.
It just reduces bad decisions. All right, let's move on to our next topic. Why are there 2 gates on our first 300 things to prep list? Which is for free in our store, offgridprepfamily.com. Go to the store. The first 300 things to prep, it's a free download. Why are there 2 gates? Asks everyone. Because why not is my answer.
You have a long driveway, you want to...
The only thing better than stopping someone from coming up your long rural driveway is trapping the person who is coming up your long rural driveway to figure out why they're there. Because you'd be surprised how many people come up to a very inhospitable looking rural driveway with no trespassing signs and all sorts of sketchy things going on. Why would you want 2 gates? Because the first gate can be on motion and it lets anyone in. Delivery driver, neighbor, you, whatever. And then you can drive up and there's a second gate, which is closed, that either requires a keypad, our little hand beepity button thing. We have a camera there. You can talk to the camera. And if you choose, you can let that person in. If you do not choose and you want to find out why on earth they're actually there, you can keep them locked in or choose to just open the gate that allows them to leave. And that is an extra layer of control, and that's always to be strived for. Also, if someone has that experience once because they're a creepy somebody, they will not aim to experience that again. That will be the last time that they come up your driveway unannounced. That is why there are 2 gates on our first 300 things to prep list. And I highly recommend it. If you have the room, please do.
So the final topic is, where is what's the best location to mount your solar panels?
There's a ton of options.
This is a tricky one. I've done a lot of study in this field. And more recently, here where we are in Atlantic, Canada, there has been an explosion of solar panel installations.
Oh, so many financed grid tie.
The locations.
It's hard to watch.
The physical locations of which are abhorrent. I have never seen such idiocy.
They don't
neglect.
care where they are or how they're aimed.
I've seen picture a Cape Cod house with a what's that called? Not a bay, but the roof gable, right? So we've got a south-facing house, and so they put the panels on the south-facing roof. But then I've seen, this is a fairly regular thing. They put a couple of panels on each side of the gable. So you've got.
You mean a hip roof?
No, the gable, the thing that sticks out, like the widow's peak, like that window. It's a gable.
I see. Okay. Yeah, they don't care what
and so you got this tiny
facing.
little gable, and they put 2 or maybe 3 panels on each side of the gable. These panels are not facing the sun.
No.
In any way.
Sometimes they coat the whole roof in them on like a 412 pitch.
Oh, it's always a low pitch. That's the worst part because construction was garbage and still is.
And in Atlantic Canada, those things are covered with snow from November till May.
Yeah.
They're not seeing sun. Period.
And we have straight up and down panels, 2 different varieties of
They're almost at 9
panels.
They're almost at 90
and
degrees.
We still have to scrape the snow off them.
Yeah.
Like, it's high humidity. So every single person who is in our area
with grid tie systems,
they don't get any sun, and they don't.
And then they say solar doesn't work.
What? Oh yeah,
then
and then
they'll
they
be
say
like,
solar doesn't work.
This whole solar thing is a sham. Solar doesn't work because they've financed a quadruply overpriced system that they can't afford through a power company, through a door-to-door sketchy salesman, and they didn't aim their panels. They didn't do their homework. They spent about 2 minutes thinking about it.
Yeah.
And now their solar system
got excited
sucks.
about it. So here's what I recommend with many, many years of experience, and not just experience installing these things, but experience living with these things.
Yes.
My best suggestion, if money is no object, because this is where you have to go, I would do a pole mount. My panels are roof mount because I'm cheap. Yeah. That's it. I got to mount it on the roof.
We have a lot of trees.
Yeah.
And we have to be very selective about where they're going to go. I'm not going to clear another acre and a half just so I could do pole mount solar.
And you can see our roof mounted system. It's the last section on the homepage of our website.
It's probably on Instagram all over the place.
You can see it, and it's out of necessity. We cleared a whole bunch of land. Well, not that much land.
Yeah.
But our house is at the very north edge of that land, so as to maximize the sun exposure without clearing the entire forest. But if I could pick my ideal system, it would be a single axis pole mount system with a weight balanced hand adjustment.
Yeah.
One of the things that some of these grid tied solar companies do is they go around and they set your panels to summer or winter. Really good grid tie, which I've only done once, was a fully automated solar tracker, but those wear out surprisingly fast.
They're really junky. We've had extras. That's what ran our gate for quite a long time.
Not as long as I'd like to say.
Yeah, they don't.
Like
they're
the
not.
First year, maybe
they're
year and a
short-lived.
half.
Yeah.
It's one of those fields like early electric cars. Well before Tesla, there just wasn't enough investment. There wasn't enough energy going into the field.
And now, it's cheaper just to get more panels.
It is.
Than to have a solar tracker.
That's right. So, if I could pick, I would do a pole mount with an aluminium frame. I apologize. And I would have like a pin with set points and a way to balance so that I could pivot the entire array once a month. I could manually do it once a month. The tiny amount of labor it takes once a month for 30 seconds to move your panels, you don't need automation. And this is from a person who tries to sell automation. Well, I have in the past. You don't need a company to mount panels on your roof. If you can get an aluminium pole set up, like a wind rated pole, and set it up so that you yourself can walk out once a month and increase or decrease the angle of your solar array, that's the best way to go.
Mm-hmm.
Second best way, as we mentioned a few seconds ago, mount them on your roof and mount them at 90 degrees.
Yeah, just do the winter angle.
Because snow is a killer.
Yeah.
It builds up. If you don't have snow, you're down in the southern U.S., that's a different thing.
Yeah.
Mount them at 45 degrees, 30 degrees.
Figure out for your latitude. It's
Figure
like
out for your latitude.
one Google.
Yep.
One DuckDuckGo search.
Or if you want to experiment in this, you build a little cheap wood rack and you mount the panels on the ground and you live with them for a year. And you figure out, just
what the ideal
every single
angle.
Solar charge controller / inverter, the hybrid models, which I tout like vehemently, like you only get the hybrid models. You can see there's a readout of how much power is coming in. Pay attention. If you're off the grid, you have the time.
You do.
To pay attention.
Because you're not paying for a lot of other things.
That's right. So pay attention.
Yeah.
And yeah, take this advice with a grain of salt and apply it to your own situation.
As always, if you have questions about setting up your DIY solar system, you are more than welcome to Instagram message us and we will help you. We will do our very, very best. Do you have a quote for us today?
Yeah. Men in fear and hunger destroy their stomachs in the fight to secure certain food, where men hungering for love destroy everything lovable about them. In the world ruled by tigers with ulcers, rutted by strictured bulls, scavenged by blind jackals, what can it profit a man to gain the whole world and to come to his property with a gastric ulcer, a blown prostrate, and bifocals? It's from John Steinbeck and Cannery Row. It's our favorite author. It's our favorite author, without question.
If you thought this episode was helpful, if you could share it with a friend or stick it on social media, we would really, really appreciate it. We can always tell when you guys do. Thank you so much for your support, and you can find us on Instagram, Off Grid Pet Family.
Good night, everyone.
Good night.